y bienvenidos a una nueva entrevista para códigooculto.com y el canal de YouTube a Enigma. Y conmigo tengo al investigador noruego Erling P. Strand. Thank you so much for being with us. So, first question I wanted to ask you is, because I believe you have devoted a large part of your career to study the Hessdalen lights. So, what is this phenomenon?
It's a mysterious phenomenon in a small valley in Norway called Hessdalen, only 10 miles long valley, small valley, only 100 inhabitants. Mainly the phenomenon is seen as lights, can be different types. One type is blue or white flashes lasting for less than a second. The other type is yellow balls of light with different shapes, not always a ball, but it can be all different kind of shapes. And it can stand still for minutes on one location, move slowly around, illuminate the ground beneath, and it can move very fast as well. On one occasion we measure it to 30,000 kilometers an hour, so it can move very fast.
And so I do understand that they are still being seen today, right?
Yeah, they are still being seen, and but the intensity of approximately 20 observations a week, that was in the early 80s. But now it's in the order of 20 observations a year, approximately. So it's much less than it was before.
All right. And with all that you have studied, what do you think there could be? I mean, what is the most convincing explanation for you, even though it would be speculating perhaps?
But we have tried to find a natural solution or some solution based on what we know today. But the problem is that the measurements, the data we get with this point in different directions. So it's very hard to think of the different sightings, the different measurements as being one solution.
Okay.
So we have thought of maybe there are several solutions, several things, but the big question, why does all these different happen in this small Norwegian valley?
All right, and because I've seen on the Hessdalen Project's website many pictures of them, but I wanted to ask you, have you seen any of those in person?
Yes, I have seen several in person.
What does it feel like?
Well, I've seen the big yellow ball of light. We were standing out in the mountain. It's not any houses around. And this huge ball of light came and illuminated very strongly with the mountain in the background. So it was actually present in the valley. It lasted for more than 1.5 hours. It sent spotlights sometimes down on the ground and also sometimes up in the air. And after 1.5 hours, it suddenly disappeared. That's one of them. I have also seen other types. The type which are flashes, strong flashes, blue flashes, many types. And they're so strong, so they are captured on cameras. That have been seen many times. I've seen that several times. Yes, and I've also seen the newer type, which are showing up the late year 2-3 years, where you have in the daytime, when the sun out, you can see these strange shapes of lights moving around. For instance, the strange shape Well, on one occasion, there was a cube. You can imagine a cube.
Yeah.
But the strange thing is the sun was up like this, pointing towards it, and the dark side of the cube was towards the sun. You should expect the bright side would be towards the sun,
Yeah.
but it was the dark side. And we have also other stories of people who have noticed that the brighter side of the phenomenon is on the other side of the sun, or the opposite from the sun.
I see. Well, that's amazing. And by looking at the way they do behave, do you feel they have some kind of intelligence?
It's very difficult to conclude with intelligent. I could mention that a couple of happenings could lead you to think of that. For instance, when we, during our field work, pointed a laser beam to it. Not a strong laser, weak laser, red one, and it changed behavior. Whenever we pointed the laser to it, when we took the laser down, it became like it was in the original starting. And we went it up again and it changed. And that happened in 8 of the different 9 times. Well, maybe the most strange wasn't their response, but 1 week later, the red light was moving around our feet.
What?
It was very easy to think of it, that it was a response in a way that, well, we point a red laser to them, and we point the red light towards you. We don't have many of such stories. So compared with all the hundreds of stories we have, I would say that very few can think of it as an intelligence. So we normally don't bring that topic up because of the few sightings which could indicate that.
I see. Okay, well, final question. Because it came to my knowledge that Alan Hynek did pay you a visit. So, what were his impressions?
Well, he took the tour all the way from the States, where he lived, to our fieldwork. That was in 1985. And his impression was that this is a location where you can do research. We call it UFO lab in the valley.
Okay.
So he wanted us to continue with the work, doing measurement, to get more data, and he wanted to help us doing that. And before he went back, he said that I should get some real scientists, good scientists, in the team which could help us.
Uh-huh.
But you know, 1 year later, he died. Sorry.
Well, but he felt kind of optimistic about your work, so that's
Yes, he was
a
very.
nice thing.
Yes.
So thank you so much for the interview, sir. It's been
Thank
a
you.
pleasure. Thank you.
I'm impressed with Hessdalen itself because Hessdalen is really a UFO laboratory. It's a place where things are happening and where things can be studied.